Episode 59. All right, let's do our test.
Testing.
Hold on.
To record.
Testing.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Let's see what it sounds like.
Record.
Testing.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Sounds
Excellent.
good. Awesome. Great. Ready to go. 59. I'm feeling fine. 59. I'm feeling fine.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Naomi.
I'm Liz.
And we're the Run Galley girls.
And we are here unprepared for episode 59 of our podcast.
And both still a little congested from head colds.
And after our 2-week hiatus, which was kind of nice. It was only 1 week of recording.
Right.
But we took 2 weeks off because I just published
episode
the last episode. So it's going to be 2 episodes published this week, which is fine. We have Penny kind of co-hosting with us, sitting up right in between us.
As usual.
Nosing me. But yeah, so we got some fun feedback that people like when we use ChatGPT.
Right.
So you're in for a treat today because we are not using ChatGPT today.
Ruh-roh.
Although we do have a couple of episodes lined up where we will, so we'll kind of go back and forth on that format.
Yeah, I think it's our natural, format is our conversational free form format. And so I'm happy people like the ones with an outline, but that's not always gonna be our style. That's something we're trying to do, but it's also not our natural style.
Yeah, so we're gonna go back and forth and do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So today we're just gonna have some run chatter. We're gonna talk about what we are up to and kind of probably, I was thinking that we would talk about starting a training plan because you are starting your training plan for the 10 miler. And people have reached out to us asking if we would do plans for them. So I'm going to go ahead and put that up on the site. And actually we can talk about what we think, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a couple of different price tiers. I'm thinking one where you get the plan and you can leave notes in the training plan, but you don't really get adjustment and you don't really get a check-in session. Something really, really reasonable price-wise. Mm-hmm. And then one where you got a midway check-in, right? And you get to check in and you get support that way. And then maybe one where you got 4 check-ins over the plan.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to coaching weekly because
it's just not
I just don't have enough time. Yeah. But I was actually thinking during maternity leave I might have enough time.
Yeah, maybe after the first 4 weeks or something.
Oh. No, I was thinking when I'm home with a baby and I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, but the first 4 weeks or something. First 4 to 6 weeks, you do have plenty to do. You're not feeling bored at all.
But all these people keep telling me they're going to come over and help me.
Okay.
And I think that means they're going to clean my house for me.
Oh, good.
I don't know. No.
Babies are so much work.
So we'll put up pricing for that on the site. Because I have, Viato too that I paid $200 or $300 a year for. So I was like, I should use this.
Yeah. So we'll have your basic level, and then maybe the extra, your avocado level, or whatever.
Yeah, right. Guac is always extra.
Yeah. That's great. I like the idea of just and not making it overly too much for you, but you're such a good coach though, so
giving
it's,
some
it should be people should have access to.
It's funny though, I feel like the one complaint with me as a coach is that people are like, why is the plan so easy? Why aren't you giving me more workouts? Why isn't it harder? Why are you okay when I miss a workout? Why are you okay when I miss paces? And I'm like, because you're not a professional runner. And are you having fun? Right.
And you do have to trust in the process.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not having workouts every day,
and then
every
people
run.
People get a little uppity on the super slow long runs. And I was like, dude, that's the Galloway method. And let me tell you, I will always believe back and forth, up and down, day after day, that you can run, if you're running intervals quickly, you can extend those intervals on race day even if you haven't practiced them.
Yeah.
We were talking yesterday about what interval will you use for the 10 miler, and you're not going to need to do a lot of 90-30 training
practice
to go run a 10 miler at 90-30 successfully. You can do 30-30 training, and I have the proof of that. I used to do all my training at 1-1, and I used to do my racing at 4-1 or 2-1. Or I would do all my training at 30-30 or 60-30, and I would go race at 2 or 3 or 4 and 30. So like you can extend that in a race situation, you can run more.
Yeah, and the over distance and the intervals make it possible and make it,
because your run speed
exactly
is faster. Your run speed improves, and you do end up just naturally a 3-mile run ends up being faster, even using the same intervals as a 10-mile run using the same intervals. So you do get speed work in there without having structured speed work.
Yeah.
If you're just doing it to finish Galloway Plan.
Yeah. And then, Galloway, because of the run walk, it allows you to have recovery. So the over distance works. And that's where, again, over distance probably doesn't work in the more traditional plan. I see lots of people doing their marathon training with a max of 18 miles right now. I see people talking about it.
Yeah. But then those same people really talk about how hard, and even if it's just mentally hard, even if they are ready physically, they talk about how mentally hard the last couple miles of a race are, or they have big blow ups on hot days.
Right.
And I'm sorry, like that's...
They're not prepared because they didn't have the practice of the endurance part of it. Yeah.
And the suffering, because you ran that 26 mile, that 29 mile.
Yeah.
Those last 6, they're not easy.
No.
Even though you're going at an easy pace and your body feels good, there's still, like, it is mentally such a challenge, and you feel amazing at the end of those months.
And if you're doing towards a fall race, you end up in the hottest part of the day by hour 5, hour 6, versus getting your miles out of the way before it gets too warm. I feel like you end up with some heat practice too.
Maybe that's something to really look at. I know you traditionally say that you really fade in the heat and you're just not good, but maybe we should look at equivalent runners on the same day, what their fades look like.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Because I think you have gotten a lot more heat resilience.
Yeah.
And I think that your fade is also sure, you have a big fade, but I think it's more you're mentally mad at yourself
and giving up. Mentally, I let go and give up.
But even that, I don't think your give up and let go is actually as slow as you think it is. Do you know what I mean?
But it has been where that's the reason why I slowed down too. Was more just it doesn't matter now because I'm so off my goal or something anyway, and so I let myself give in and versus. But Mountains Beach was a warm race this year, and we didn't have that problem, and because we were together, but but we didn't have that give in, give up, because we also sustained a much more comfortable the shorter intervals, the 30-30s.
Oh, the short intervals are so great. 40-20s. 40-20 is a great interval.
Yeah.
That's really what we used a lot at Mountains Beach.
True.
I do kind of wish we had done some 20-20s at the end instead of 30-30s, but I mean, it's the same. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And, it's the end of a marathon, and it was so much fun. I have to remind myself that my fast running is still ahead of me, because I'm definitely experiencing a massive pregnancy slowdown at this point. You were saying right before we started recording, neighbor of Naomi's is having knee pain and can't run longer than 1.5 miles. Well, it's funny, I was having behind my patella pain yesterday after our run, and I did 4.5 miles with the walk, and I think you were closer to 5.5, which is amazing.
I was just under 5. Oh, with the walk?
With the walk.
Yeah,
with the walk. And I was my body is just everything's feeling looser, everything's feeling also tighter. I have to take smaller steps because
your range of motion changes. I mean, obviously everything changes,
and my balance is changing. So my walk speed is slowing down.
Like you said yesterday, weird. It's becoming a waddle.
Yeah.
It is really humbling.
Yeah.
To go through, especially when you're super fit. When you're a fit person before pregnancy, it is a very strange experience, and I've seen a lot of people have body dysmorphia issues, all that stuff, because your body changes so quickly, but it's so exciting. And so I know
the weirdest thing is for a while I was what if my body never goes back? And now I'm seeing all these women who just had their babies at my center, one in December, one in January, and they're coming and dropping off their other child, and they're back to normal. And I was okay, we'll go back. Granted, they're wearing clothes, it's winter, I'm sure they didn't snap back to perfect, within a month, but I'm That's right. The baby is what's taking up all this space in my belly. Like my belly is going to go
not your
back.
belly.
Right.
Well, and also like if like I had to come to terms with it never goes back, and that's okay, because this belly has housed two people that are like humans in my house.
Right. Well, I meant more like it will go back to like where I won't feel like I'm gonna fall forward or backward.
Oh yeah,
like,
totally.
Like the balance piece will go back. I'll get my range of motion back. I'll get my strength back. I'll get my ability to I'll handle high heart rate back.
Yeah.
Because like
it'll all come back. Yeah.
I can't push into my threshold zone. Like I feel physically sick.
Yeah, and that'll all be very short after because of the difference of like blood volume and stuff like that right now. I feel like that'll change quickly. So
yeah.
But
it's crazy.
Yeah, but my neighbor, we should ask that question, because it's now the second person in just a few days, because Sabila was the other person saying something about knee pain, and I was commenting how I remember when I started running, I wore those like Ace brace bandage things you buy at like CVS. I wore this for like years when I first was a runner in my 20s. Because I always had knee pain.
I did too. I had a lot of knee pain when I started running too.
And I think it's like probably, I know we have an episode somewhere about most common running injuries, but like you had just said before the pod, like what is this and what does it mean? Because I feel like a lot of people probably run into this when they first start out.
So my thought on knee pain, and we probably should run upstairs and get Jeff's book, but we're not going to.
I was thinking that.
We're just gonna go off the cuff. So knee pain, especially new runners, you're gonna have it in a couple of different spots. You're gonna have it under the patella, that's patellofemoral syndrome.
Runner's knee.
Sometimes diagnosed as chondromalacia patella, which is softening of the cartilage on the back of the patella.
Interesting.
And what causes that is an imbalance in your quadricep muscles. You have 4 quadriceps, that's why they're quads 4. And you have this teeny tiny one, the smallest quad. So you have rectus femoris, vastus medialis oblique, and some other one that I don't remember the name. But anyway, your vastus medialis oblique is this teeny tiny teardrop shaped muscle on the inside of your upper thigh. And if you look at like bodybuilders, it's pretty pronounced. And that muscle, especially in women, due to the Q angle, which is the angle of the femur from the hip down to the knee, can be very weak. And so it just naturally, we cross our legs, that weakens it, just the way that we walk,
just our hips,
that
the shape,
the shape. So it's just
childbearing hips.
Normal for this to be weak. But that muscle is very necessary as a runner. And so what you do is you take a foam roller, you put it under your knee, and you do a little tiny extension with your fingers, pushing on that muscle to try to get it to activate. It is like the tiniest little leg raise with from that slight bent position up to straight. Your leg will shake like crazy, and that will help develop that VMO, that vastus medialis oblique.
And like for me, or for probably a lot of people, eventually it just went away. And I think it was just basically my quads strengthened as I continued running. But I think a lot of people
this little PT thing
that's
is like
so smart.
The best trick. You can also do leg lifts, all 4 directions, like so straight up, like abduction, adduction, and then backwards, like because you want to also include the hamstrings. The other most common like knee pain for runners would be tight IT band, and everybody wants to foam roll or massage the crap out of their IT band, but that's not really going to help that tightness. What's going to help the tightness is glute strength. So the IT band gets tight when the glutes are weak because it's trying to compensate. So you strengthen the glutes, clamshells, donkey kicks, things like that. The IT band will loosen up. So you can roll and stretch your IT band, but don't punish it.
Don't overstretch it.
Don't punish it, because I got to tell you, my IT bands are tight like crazy, and I don't have knee pain from from an IT band. I don't have IT band syndrome because I've strengthened my glutes.
But it's also, again, like female, it's that angle.
That female anatomy.
It's totally anecdotal and funny, like off whatever, but like sitting on the ski lifts last week, and I always notice this when I ski, a lot of the men's, skis are straight together, and mine always splay. And I thought about it finally this time. Like, I was like, oh, it's because I have women's like hips.
Yeah.
Like, that's why my skis look like they're like pointing out, and I'd have to consciously hold them in on the lift.
Yeah.
Hold my knees in, which would be uncomfortable.
Oh, that's funny.
So
my feet point in, so like
my feet point in, but not when I'm sitting on the lift and my legs are unflexed. So when my quads are relaxed.
So like when I'm relaxed, but yeah, I'm like, yeah, my feet are dumb. Because my turn is like from, I don't know, it's like from
higher up,
I guess. I got weird legs. And then the last place, common knee pain. So
yeah,
back to that. The last place would be hamstring insertion knee pain. And that is the hardest one to kind of deal with because in general, people who have hamstring pain, whether it's behind the knee or up in the hip, it's just kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
You have to strengthen that's
the glutes
tendonitis.
Again.
It's tendonitis though. And one of the ways to get rid of it is to look at the majority of people who have hamstring issues, tendonitis by the knee or up in the hip are heel strikers.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being a heel striker. However you run is how you run. You're going to have to like baby that, get that better, work on it, do some PT, or look at with someone who is trained in doing this, switching your running form to a midfoot.
Right.
Switching to a midfoot should take away the hamstring issues. However, midfoot and forefoot runners, you're going to trade that hamstring for calf and Achilles. So be warned.
Yep.
Be warned.
Yeah. Case in point with me, and I had high hamstring tendinopathy for 6 years.
Yeah.
I had it forever. It was not like do all the glute exercises, all the PT, and I could never alleviate it. And then I became a more midfoot striker, got rid of my hamstring issues, haven't had them in 2+ years, knock on wood. But then, of course, I got plantar fasciitis.
Right.
So.
And it's funny because, as a heel striker, you'll have high hamstring and hamstring tendonitis at the knee and front of shin. And then as a forefoot striker, you'll have kind of the opposite. You'll have the calf and Achilles. You'll have less front of shin, but you might have it's not like, it's like different front of shin, if that makes sense. It's not like shin splints. It's more like that muscle will like cramp up instead of like it being like that muscle's pulling away. It's like that muscle gets too crampy.
And I'm getting in like inner shin lately. So, and then the other thing is shoes.
How old are your shoes?
Yeah. If you're running and having knee pain, are you wearing the right shoes of all?
Or are they new and
are they old shoes?
You bought them because they were cute and they're the wrong ones for you.
The wrong type for your feet.
I'm so happy we're not on this minimal shoe kick. Like, I'm so happy, like, shoes are back.
Maximal shoes are back.
I'm so happy that, like, it's run in the shoes that work for you and not everybody's trying to go to zero drop and barefoot running and all of that. As I'm, like, experiencing with the pregnancy slowdown, some, like, arch pain and everything, I'm like, I need to get some maximal shoes.
Yeah.
So I'll be going to Roadrunner this weekend. And
good.
It's going to kill me because I have, like, 40
million pairs of shoes.
And I'm going to be like, well, I'm still going to run in these. I just need something more for right now.
And that's, you definitely do need something for right now. And then that's something I've noticed too. And like I mentioned before, I don't know if I mentioned on the pod, but like Hoka doesn't have anything above a 5 millimeter drop. They're all 4 and 5 millimeter. So I've had to go into other brands now. So I'm in some Sauconys I'm in the Endorphin Speeds and I'm in the Triumphs for some runs now because I needed the higher drop. So sometimes you have to look at another brand that if you're with a brand forever, you have to kind of consider, well, maybe there's something I need and maybe a higher foot drop, a higher heel to toe drop is something
I'm going to be trying on a whole bunch of different shoes.
More cushion. Saucony has tons of other cushion options at least, so you can even stay within the brand. But
that is true. And I but I used to love Asics, so I'm
Asics.
I'm going to give some Asics. I used to like the Nimbus. Granted, I would run through other brands really fast. And they're really expensive.
Well, yeah.
But I'm hoping that I won't. I was also going to look at the Bondi and the Clifton from Hoka because they're really cushioned. I'm used to a 4 millimeter drop. The other thing I was thinking is I might just tape my arch.
Right.
Because that might provide enough support for me. So.
Well, interesting. Two things. The first is that ASICS. Did you see that out of the top 10 male finishers and top 10 female finishers at the Olympic trials this weekend, ASICS was one of the top.
Wow.
So like everybody's got to go look at ASICS, I think.
Yeah,
I think we all need to give
absolutely.
ASICS back some credit where it's been,
Yeah.
we haven't been paying any attention to them lately with
Oh, and
Nike.
it wasn't even raining because I saw it in Boston last year or whatever. Nike's shoes just weren't performing in the rain the same way because wasn't it? Who was it? It was Adidas at Boston.
Yes, it was.
In the rain. So, like, that's something to, like, think about with super shoes.
Yeah. And then the other thing about what you just mentioned is that Elizabeth Fleur said that she replaces shoes at 200 miles. And how, like, of course, a lot of people get more than that. But I was like, okay, that feels, makes me feel a little better about the fact that I feel like a lot of times at 200 miles, I'm starting to notice they don't have, they don't have the cushion, they don't have the pep or whatever it is anymore, or the support.
I mean, I'm much better than my 80 miles I used to be. I used to replace shoes at 80 miles.
I know. Like, you were definitely an outlier, and I thought, well, maybe it's just, the way you run or something.
It's barefoot running.
Is it? Yeah.
I think so.
But it's interesting that it's,
because like, when you're landing on the least cushion part of the shoe.
Yeah.
And you're toeing off, and it's almost like you're scratching the shoe more,
right?
Because you're not going all the way through the shoe. So
right, you're not using the whole.
So if you think of a shoe as like 100% foot base, a heel striker is going to use all 100%. Yep. So the weight is going, even if they're not, it's not evenly distributed, but because they have a roll, they're using heel, mid, toe.
Right.
And then as a midfoot striker, you're just using mid-toe, 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 mid-toe.
And all the cushions in the heel, so you're not even using where the cushion, Well, so it's a funny, so you can trade off your high hamstring pain for more, paying more for shoes.
Yes.
And having, lower leg issues. But
with shoes, remember, like, be wary ordering shoes
online
or Amazon. or just in general, three or four models back. I generally only go 2 models back. And I try to do it when the new model first launches.
Exactly.
I don't want to go back like 2 models when they're about to launch like a third, like 4th gen away. So be wary of that, and like look at when different colorways are launched. You don't want to order the oldest colorway in the 2 models back because it might, like, the foam degrades. It doesn't last forever.
Right.
I wish it did, because I've got older pairs of shoes that I like don't want to get rid of because they're either really cute or I haven't worn them for a while. Right. And I feel like the foam does, but the foam comes back for like a short time, and then I'll put them on and they'll feel great, and then 2 or 3 miles in and I'm like, oh, these shoes are dead, and I'm like, I should remember that, and then I put them in my closet.
Yeah, it's really hard to get rid of them because they still have life in them.
And they, like, for me, they still look cute on the outside. I brought in a whole bunch of shoes because we have got sneakers bag at work that apparently I filled by myself.
Right.
But I'm like, don't let anybody think that these are donation that they can take. These are dead shoes. They will hurt their feet by walking in them.
Right. I wonder how they recycle or what they do, but and then
sneakers, I think, turns them into playground stuff.
So do they? I don't know if they do or not. Some of the companies do, but then, and also Amazon, I've heard stories of people buying sneakers getting counterfeit, and they look just like the real thing, and so be careful.
Well, Tina was saying that.
Tina Muir. I've heard a few people have that issue where they ordered some off Amazon. I tend to just order from the actual shoe company or one of our
pair of
running stores.
The pair of Nikes that I got from the Nike Vaporflies that I got from Nordstrom Rack were bullshit. Like, they sucked.
And you can't tell necessarily if they're counterfeit because
I don't think they were counterfeit, but I don't think they were stored correctly.
Yeah, so, interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, little.
I don't know how
something on the screen. It'll go away.
I'm just turning Do Not Disturb on so that it won't like ding through.
If you're watching on YouTube.
You just got some swipes. Some swipe action. So, so we talked, let's see, running.
So our training now and training plans. Yeah, so
fun.
we basically, I feel like, once again, I feel like I'm coming back from zero. I know that's not true. But I feel like, so we did our streak. We should also talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
We finished so we had 3 streaks going at once.
And we did them.
We did all 3.
30 days of running 1 mile a day, walking 1 mile a day, and one of those activities being 30 minutes a day.
Or a separate 30-minute activity.
Or a separate 30 minutes. For me,
3 separate badges.
For me,
Garmin.
the walk was 30 minutes. Like, that's what I did mine as.
Most of mine were, but I did have, like, the last 2 days I had skiing as over 30 minutes. So we accomplished that.
That was a really fun challenge. I'd be excited to do a challenge like that again at some point.
Yeah.
I was thinking days that have 30 days in that month.
Yeah.
Or months that have 30 days in that days that have 30 days in that month. Months that are 30
September,
days.
Yeah.
Not
a fun
April
idea.
because that's my
You can't, not this year.
Not this year, but maybe next year.
Yeah.
So it was really fun. I found it very, very, very doable because we set the rule of
The
run
max.
1 mile.
Right.
Not a minimum of 1 mile. Like, just run 1 mile.
Right. A run streak it means running 1 mile a day.
Right.
It doesn't mean 1+ necessarily.
So it's pretty great. I've continued doing walking 1 mile a day.
Which is awesome.
So I'm like on my second 30-day streak.
I have not.
The dog
but that's
loves
totally
that.
fine.
The dog loves it. She is very about
Getting
walking 1
her
mile
long
a day.
walks.
I make my husband come with me, so it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Family activity. So like any lessons learned, well, I think some of them we touched on, but like one of the lessons that I definitely learned and had forgotten for is running in
plan a vacation.
run in any run like whatever you're wearing.
Yeah, I ran in maternity jeans one day on the treadmill.
Although I do have to say, I put on a sports bra because I'm like learning my lesson from that.
Oh,
ouch. Yeah. But you can like kind of run a mile in anything. You don't get that sweaty. Like, don't make it a big thing. You don't need to make it like this. My run has to be scheduled. It has to be early in the morning because I have to get it done. No, you can literally go out, take a 12-minute break from work, and do your 1 mile. It's not going to throw anything off that much.
I mean, in the summer you might get sweaty though.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But like 1 mile is just so little.
Yeah.
And then, it's so much easier to like break a habit than to make one.
Yeah.
I feel like that's at the end of my 30 days. It was kind of like, man, like
should I keep going?
Right. But I was sick and I was also away skiing. So it didn't make sense.
I had to like really like tell myself, no, we are done. Like, and I took I took 4 days and I was like, no, like I'm going to take this time because I also wasn't feeling well. I was like, there's no reason for me to keep going. I need to just like stop, take a break, reset. If I want to start again, I can start again. Plus we had a 10K this weekend, which I got to tell you, like, I'm so glad I was able to run a 10K.
But we didn't just run a 10K.
Right. So I was paying for it.
We ran 10 miles.
But we ran 10 miles, which was super fun.
Yeah.
There was a badge. And I was very concerned that I was not going to be able to get my 15K badge in February because as I get bigger and bigger in pregnancy. But we were able to do it.
Yeah, and I was, it felt really good. I was so glad that you felt good, although
we did a 10:37 pace for the 10K too, using 15:30s, which I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was just.
I mean, we did 30:30s for the first mile.
It was like long run pace. Yeah. I mean, it was great. It was totally the first mile might have been under 10. I don't know.
It was 9:55.
Okay. So it was under 10. Yeah, but it was fantastic, like, except for then, of course, you were feeling the effects of it because it's a lot for your body right now.
You know what, though? I threw on a SI joint support thing and felt like it was okay.
That's good.
It's okay. You know what it is? It's that the muscles, like all the supporting muscles in my pelvis and in my hips, they all get super fatigued. And it's weird because I've had this feeling as a runner before when I've pushed it too far, and then having it like, this is definitely pregnancy related, but it is very much like you push the muscle too far into fatigue and then it gives up the rest of the day and it can't work. So that's why it's so hard to move the rest of the day, and like you feel like loose and like I had to wear a support. It's that the muscles are completely fatigued from the activity.
Yeah.
So it's like when I had a really bad sartorius injury in 2018, and 4 or 5 miles I was like limping along because the muscle is still trying to work and it hurts so bad. And then the muscle would give up and I would be great.
It stopped hurting.
Could keep going.
Because it stopped working.
Right.
It just
because
stopped
it was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's not what you want your muscles to do.
Yeah. If your muscle stops contracting, it's not a good sign.
Right.
But
so don't push through. That's the moral of that story. But yeah, it was, I mean, honestly, it was pretty great. Like to do a 10K. I'm going to run a 5K this weekend. 5K might be my new max distance though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. I know I got to that point where 1 to 2 miles was it.
Yeah.
And so like that's where it's, again, right now you could continue a streak. It wouldn't be a problem. But I think like for me, that was the other thing is I want to get back to training, and continuing the streak was going to interfere with that, at least even maybe just mentally. Like I'm continuing a streak and not being able to get those recovery days.
Let's talk a little bit actually about starting a training plan.
Yeah.
You are actually in the perfect position to start a training plan because you have all this base fitness with no recent workouts.
Yeah.
And that is how you should go into a training plan. You should be going into a training plan where you have 4 weeks of consistent running, but 0 workouts. That's how you should start. So that's like that's actually the start of your training plan.
Yeah.
4 weeks
The
of
pre-training
consistent
plan.
running with no workouts, because you don't want to jump into workouts from 0.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to start something, and that's why all these beginner plans are just to finish, where you don't have workouts, maybe until the very end. Like you might have a couple like right at the end. So you are in the perfect position for this. And we talked yesterday about like, you know, how we're gonna manage your mental side of this. We're not gonna have Naomi run a magic mile at 85% to try to gauge where she is. Instead, we're going to make a prediction, and I'm going to assign a pace.
We're going to back into it.
I'm going to assign a pace for her to hit.
Right.
And then when she hits it or blows it a little bit out of the water, I'll then know what to assign the next one. And we're going to assign a goal. Like, I'm also not even going to tell her what her goal is until the day of. We're just going to keep that on the back end. Because that's the other thing. It can be, we've talked about goal setting and running, and a goal can be so motivating, but it can also be really demotivating if you have a bad day. And Swap the other week was talking about your fitness, and they're like, your fitness isn't performance on race day. Your fitness is whatever your best performance in that training block was. That's your fitness.
Right.
It's not the day of the race.
Race day is just the one day, and that's the issue. And like that's where it also, having a time goal can be, like you said, not just demotivating, but like it can derail your entire cycle if that's the goal and you don't give yourself like a range or just other kinds of goals throughout. And so
we can
move the goalposts.
You've been so healthy recently, thinking about your New York training block and how you really are now talking about how Army 10 miler was your proof of fitness for that training block.
Well, and even if I didn't have Army 10 miler, I had so many workouts in that block that were my proof of fitness. So that whole block, I still see it as obviously like being a
big success.
A successful training block.
Whereas I think that
I
think that had we not run Richmond together, your Steamtown block, you would have been like, it was
a failed training block.
Yeah.
I would have said, I can never use that training method again. That training plan I used. I did throw that plan out. ASICS plan, by the way. I didn't use that plan again, but like that's because I went to Galloway. But
came to the dark side.
But like there were, obviously there were things in that plan that gave me the fitness they gave me. So but it was just a lot of work. That's why I came to Galloway, because that ASICS plan was too much work. It was a lot of 17-mile run where you run the first 9 miles at a minute slower, and then you get faster and faster, and the last 8 miles were faster than race pace.
We haven't talked about getting mansplained.
Oh my god.
On the trail.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, we have to take a big deep tour right here.
Yes.
We have to talk about, we were out running and we met this old...
We were stopped. Like, we didn't stop.
We were stopped on the trail by a very, very nice, wonderful older gentleman. Did he say he was in his 80s or 70s?
Yeah, 80s, I think.
Okay.
Didn't he?
And he's a running coach, and we have his information, and we need to read through it.
Yeah.
But he basically stopped us and tried to tell us how the Galloway method was wrong.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. How we'd be faster if we didn't use it.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait a second, what? No?
And how he's like, it was developed for basically rucking, for like doing like for military, like being able to hike. And we're like, okay, but
it also works. He's like, you'd be faster if you didn't. I was like, well, I don't know. It's gotten me pretty fast. Yeah. And I was like, maybe. Oh, and I have heard that it's a myth that Jeff walked during his 216. Like, he says he walked, he claims, that he walks water stops. But, I mean, it was a reputable source that told me it was a myth.
Interesting. Well, and it's possible
it was, right?
Yeah. But it's possible he walked through the water stops
he walked water
every
stops.
2 miles or something.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So, okay.
I mean, and that one woman who won London stopped to stretch twice.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's like 2 walk breaks. So she did what? Like an hour and then 15 and then an hour and 15. That was her interval.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, yeah, it was,
excuse me.
In the moment, it was irritating.
Yeah.
But it also
I thought it was funny.
It was also that, I just wanted to be like, you're wrong, dude. Like, we obviously are proof that it works. But it was a great, reminder, like, of how things... Okay, the human body is so amazing that different plans all can work.
And all can work.
Not one plan.
And that's the thing. Like, a straight running plan, if that's your jam, go for it. If you are having success and you're enjoying your training and you like running straight, that's fantastic. Right. And we're so happy that you have a way of running. If you are in team never hike and you will run up hills forever, like, go for it. That's great. What we're saying is we enjoy the walk breaks. We enjoy that we can still be fast and get faster using walk breaks. And also, our team always hike.
Yeah, always hike. And also that
we enjoy the benefits of lower injuries. Yeah. There's so
recovery
many benefits
built in.
Right. There's so many benefits to the Galloway method. I mean, to be honest, plan to plan, it is a higher mileage plan than another beginner running plan, another beginner marathon plan. If you are doing the optional cross training days, like the Galloway plans are higher mileage. If you're doing the 3 runs a week, it's nice because it's enough mileage to get you to a marathon without taking away from your family. That's the other piece. Like, how nice is it that you really only have, it's 2 weeks in a row, but you take one Saturday away from your family and then you have one Saturday with your family and one away and one with. Whereas, like, I feel every other marathon plan takes every Saturday.
It's every weekend. Yeah.
So,
and but if it works for you, then great. And like but I also came from that mindset before, and so I did that for years. And so, like, again, that A6 plan that I did that last season, which was a lot of work and crazy fast running, and and then I switched, and I'm just so much happier with what we do. But like,
I did a Higdon plan before. Like,
yeah, I did that too before.
I did Higdon's. Oh my gosh, what is it? Run fast, how to beat your best time every time.
Okay. No, I did like...
I still use Run Walk.
First.
I still use Run Walk to do those plans, but I followed like that type of plan versus the Galloway plan.
Interesting. Yeah. And so, I don't know, that was kind of, it was like, there's no wrong... This guy insisted there was a wrong way. Yeah. But there is no wrong way.
I just have found that I do better in the marathon when I have long... over distance training runs. It is better
when I have walk breaks. I do 1,000 times better in a marathon if I take walk breaks.
But like, I mean, it's I've even in the middle of long runs, like
Yeah.
I've done descending runs where I've gone out, like gone out with Lauren, 10 miles out, and then I'll speed up for 5 miles and then go back to get her and then finish, 23 or 24. Like I've done stuff like that, like that he was talking about getting faster. And I think it was from Higdon that I like learned the, like kind of break your run into quarters and run your third quarter the fastest. And so I've intermixed and played with that kind of stuff before on long runs, because there was a season when I was able to run 2 days a week, and those 2 days were Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And like I still had success in the marathon running those 2 days. That was 2017.
Right.
Yeah.
It
actually set me up really well for like, I did a Ragnar, I did marathon. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that back to back, right?
17?
Yeah. You did Ragnar's in 17 for sure.
That 17 was the year we ran Richmond.
Yeah.
So that's right.
Yeah. And so
that summer I ran 2 days a week. Sometimes I'd get a Wednesday.
Nice. Yeah.
But yes, I think back to back Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. And I think it's just, don't be afraid to try something. I've seen that with some other people who are newer to Galloway who've reached out and are really excited about, Sharon, who we'll see this weekend. She just ran a Magic Mile in a time that she couldn't believe, with run walk, with walk breaks in the mile, in a time that she used to run her fast miles in when she was, quote, young and fast, like 10, 15 years ago, right? And so it's there, it works, but different things work for different people. So.
Yeah.
Or they all could work for you. You just have to like have the right mindset for it.
I mean, have fun. This is our recreational sport.
Yes. Enjoy it. Like, I think that was what this guy didn't understand.
Right.
Because it was like, well, we are having fun though. Like,
I mean,
like that's what we're out here for.
Like, I have often thought that the thing that stands between me and like actual greatness is money. Right? Like if somebody just gave me money so that I could like pay for the right coaches and everything, like I've thought I could be great in any sport. Like that's like the thing that's standing between me and greatness is money.
I would say time. But yeah.
But like if you have money, then you have
You have time.
Right? So if somebody gave me like $5 million and said, here's enough money to like live on, I could hire the right coaches and do the right work and have the right recovery.
Prioritize the right things. Yeah.
I mean, I might need more than $5 million. But you catch my drift here.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't have to work, like
then you have the time and you could devote it to and like basically we have the potential. Anyone has the potential to like
to have greatness.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's I guess that's what I'm saying is like. But when you don't have that, you have like when you have to work and you have to balance everything else, like you have to figure out how to make your sport both, because it is going to take from you. Your sport is going to
deplete you.
It's going to deplete you. It's going to fill some cups, but it's going to deplete physical cups. And so you have to figure out how to balance those things. And that's where I think Run Walk really plays into like a good place. Like it allows you to do without depleting physically.
Yeah, and I think that's why he stopped us. So we were chit-chatting as we do.
Yeah.
And he had said something to us once on the way out.
Yeah.
He was like, are you solving all the world's problems or something?
Yeah.
And then he stops us on the way back because we had turned around. And I think that's what bothered him and bothers people when we're running in a race around them, is that we're chit-chatting the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
and running a easy, happy pace, whatever the pace is, even if it's a race, we're still like having the ability to talk and whatever. And I think that irritates people who are like taking it too seriously.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he had to decide to like, we were wrong because we're running 12 something pace. You're 6.5 months pregnant. Like, we're not out there racing today. And like, so we can talk the whole time.
Yeah.
And
it's great.
But you should be able to. And even if you're not doing Run Walk, you should be able to talk on your easy days.
Yeah.
So I think that's I think we offended him.
My belly certainly popped. Like, she's so big now.
It's
so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's when it hits home. You're like, whoa.
I mean, I could like put something on it.
Yeah.
Like,
baby
it's like a big shelf
is
now.
Really coming.
I know, it's insane. I took a tape measure out. This is such a tangent. So the kids always ask me, is the baby still, I was like, yeah, the baby's still growing in my belly. They're like, when's she coming out? Like, it's so cute.
Aww.
And so I was like, one of the little girls said, well, how big is she? So we took a tape measure out, and like we used the baby center app to like figure out how long she is. And so we measured, and like she's like 14 and a half inches long. Like, that's really big.
Yeah.
That's like, and she's over 2 pounds, and like, whoops.
Oh man, there's our camera.
Camera just decided to go wild. But it's funny because like it's like
a baby doll, like a big,
yeah,
like a big 14-inch baby doll.
I think I know people who have had 1-pounders like born and survived.
Yeah, I know.
Past viability, which is like crazy.
Exactly.
No, stay in.
I know.
You need to make it to a minimum of 32 weeks. Minimum.
Yes.
But like,
she will.
Please stay in longer.
She will.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Pregnancy is so weird. I was thinking we should probably have ChatGPT help us with a pregnancy article.
Oh, that's a good idea. Running, and then we can talk about our own experiences and give it that color.
It's hard
because it is really hard, and and even when I came into my pregnancy with Julian, my second pregnancy, I came into that with so much fitness.
And you were also terrified you wouldn't be able to run because you could not run with Lila.
Right.
Due to sciatic pain.
Right. But I kept it going, and I also like crushed races and stuff that I can't run those paces now, and I was pregnant.
You could.
The 5K that we did in like December, I ran faster, or whichever one we ran most recently.
Yeah.
I ran faster when I was pregnant with Julian. Anyway, at like 20 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it is so hard, and there's so many unknowns. And it was so humbling. And even then, to have to slow down and shorten everything as much as I did, versus now it's like, sure, cutting. I mean, you still did 3.5 running yesterday. That's huge. That's still so many miles of running.
Oh my gosh.
So, and 10 on Sunday.
It was the wrong choice, actually, because my knee really hurt afterwards. I mean, because we did so much on Sunday.
Yeah, 10 miles is so much.
I need to and I didn't do that type of volume in the end of January. It was a pretty big increase.
Jump. Right.
Like, I just need to temper it back and just stay consistent and methodical. My body is changing every week, and I need to honor that.
Yeah.
And I can't just push it like I used to, right? I used to be kind of up for any run. I can do it. It won't hurt me. Indestructible, brontosaurus bones. And I'm just, that is not where I'm at right now. I need to chill the F out.
Yeah. It's really hard because you have to set your whole ego
to
aside.
I need to just enjoy some walks. It's great.
You have to set your ego aside. And that is just what it is. And that's the preparation for babies and children. And
It'll be fine.
It'll be great. It's the most amazing, most wonderful job in the world, the hardest job in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm so fortunate. I always feel so lucky that I have my kids. So
yeah, I know. I'm
as
super
difficult
excited
as it is
to have this little girl coming and joining our family, and she's gonna be. I think she's gonna like running though.
Of course she is.
do, because she definitely is chill on days I've run. She's super chill on those days.
Yeah.
On days I don't run, she kicks me all day long.
Get up.
She's like, what's going on, Mom? What's going on?
Let's go for a run.
I'm just gonna sit here and punch you right in the bladder. So, well, I guess that's a good episode for today, and we will come back with the Chat GPT helped assisted. I can talk words. It's fine. Episode.
Words are so easy.
I actually put together I asked for an episode on avoiding low energy availability as a runner, what symptoms to look out for. So that is coming.
Let's do that one. Yeah.
Because I've been so nervous to talk about low energy availability and nutrition. Especially coming from a place of having an eating disorder in the past, I don't want to offend people.
We don't want to use the wrong.
Warnings.
It's a delicate thing, but it's really important.
I think having ChatGPT help focus us, that would be really good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's just some direction there.
Yeah. So that'll be good.
Yeah. And one last thing I meant to mention too, because last week we talked about Steve Magnus and the growth equation, and so my neighbor, who's 85, was telling me that she's recently back in the gym, and she's on the days I do my strength at the gym, I can't also do my walk, my loop that she normally does, this long walk. And I was like, you're not supposed to. Like, those are your days. You need to, take some rest in between.
Yeah.
Because she was trying to do the walk every day.
Okay.
It's not a run, but she's 85. And, go to the gym also on a few days a week. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, you can.
She could do her walk and then go do strength training.
Yes, but I think she just is too tired from it. And, like, strength or, stress plus rest equals growth, or maintain if you're 85. But she was in the boat of, like, feeling like she was weak because I'm like, no, rest is so important. So important.
Yeah.
So.
And that actually maybe we should do a whole episode on the importance of rest.
Yeah, I think we do.
And then, so speaking of Steve Magnus, we should talk about his sometimes writing buddy, Brad Stulberg. And you were like, oh, Master of Change. I'm going to read
his
that
new book.
I started listening to the audiobook. It is free with premium Spotify. I can talk words. So I've been listening on Spotify, and it is very, very good. I wish he was reading it. I don't like...
Oh, yeah. When it's just like some other...
book author readers, because they're like, very professional reading, and it made me think of this, and then...
It's like robotic or something.
And then it happened. And then... Yeah. And I just...
Yeah, it'd be better if it was Brad.
I think it's because I love podcasts. Right. So, like, I love, like, more of the natural cadence voice of the way normal people talk versus, like, professional readers.
Yeah. No, I have to check that one out.
It's very good.
Yeah, because in that episode when he was talking about just basically everything in life is change. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing that we push so hard against change. We try so hard to keep everything the same, and that's just not even, like, that's not life.
Well, it gave me some great things for work recently, and specifically allostasis versus homeostasis, which is like homeostasis is normal, break, back to normal, and allostasis is what it was, break down what it is. Yeah. Like, so it, like, is forward progress. Anyway, so we talk, like, it's helped me because we're navigating change at work. We're rolling out a whole new like mindset curriculum. So anyway, it's good.
Like on the pod they talked about having a baby, and that's such a big change. And it is, but that's what life is. Like, life isn't going to be the same over and over, and neither is your training. Your running is not going to be the same over and over, and that's like, so it's
different every run.
You can't look back to last training cycle, or 2 years ago, or whenever, or 5 years ago, and say it should be the same, because it shouldn't. That's not what, like, the human condition is. So we're constantly building and growing and being better and bringing our past with us and our injuries, because we're not resilient. I was reading something else, and I think it was The Coddling of the American Mind, and they talked about fragility versus being anti-fragile or being resilient. Like, we're not the opposite of fragile, because what we are fragile. We can break, but we can repair stronger. So we're not fragile, and then we're also not resilient. We're not break resistant. Right. We will be damaged. We're not shatterproof.
We will be damaged, but we will repair, beyond that. And, like, that, like, leads me into, like, thinking about, like, trigger warnings. Apparently trigger warnings trigger people more than just talking about shit.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. Seeing the words trigger warning is, like, can trigger people.
It can send you into,
And so sometimes you should stop using them on Instagram. That was, like, kind of the...
Interesting. Yeah.
So I'm learning a lot about death, and a lot about the mental space. One of the coolest things that I'm going to leave you with is, if children are old enough or with it enough to ask a question, they deserve an honest, age-appropriate answer. Mm-hmm. And I was, like, totally reaffirmed when I heard that. I'm like, yes, if kids can formulate the question, they're old enough to have the age-appropriate answer.
Right. You don't need to lie to children. Like, I think, And so, there's ways of doing it age appropriately without it being dishonest. Basically.
Oh, and one of the best deflections is, well, what do you think about it? What do you already know? Great. What do you think about it? And then you can then formulate
build off of that.
From there.
Yeah.
A lot of kids ask me how the baby's coming out.
Yeah.
My answer is, well, mommy's bodies. No. how to give birth to babies.
Yeah.
And that's how babies get their birthday.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little deflection.
Right. Not having to wait until science, although nothing wrong with it, but it would be like
right,
a lot
but like it allows me to just say mommy's bodies know how to, because some of the kids say, well, my mommy had surgery to get me out.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm
and that
like,
was that was their mommy's bodies, what they needed to do.
Yeah,
That's what,
exactly.
That's what mommy's body needed. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
so
cool.
yeah. So that way, but although I did buy books that like have all of that for the kids, so that if I get more in-depth questions, I can say, well, let's go read this book.
Nice. Nice.
So
fun.
Anyway, all right, super fun, long, weird, twisty, turny episode, and hopefully we'll see you guys speak to you.
I don't know.
Next week, and
you listen us.
we talk words good.
Send us your questions, your comments.
Email
us at rungalleygirls@gmail.com.
Support the pod at rungalleygirls.com/shop.
Find us on Instagram and DM us, whatever.
Yeah. And, one last thing. Should we do running a centimeter per follower that we get? We saw an account about that, so
we'd have to do like a couple feet, because if you get like 2 followers, what are you gonna do?
That's
2
exactly
centimeters?
it. We're gonna be like, great.
How do you run 2 centimeters?
Well, it's
it was
because
hilarious.
Centimeters are great because then it converts to meters and kilometers.
Yeah, but
whereas,
she was like gaining like 4,000 followers a day.
I know. Well, that's the point. Maybe we'll gain that.
Right.
I mean, maybe the reels will be funny enough to
we should try it.
Follow.
We should try it.
We'll like gain like 5 people. We'll be like, yeah, we ran those 5 centimeters.
It's not even, you can't even move your feet, that's all.
Oh my goodness. All right, it's time to go. We gotta go to work.
All right. Bye.